Modern family, the relationship between class versus race and gender versus sexuality. Before diving into the complex intersections of class, race, gender, sexuality that the show offers, I will give you a brief synopsis of the series. Modern Family, a progressive sitcom broadcasted on ABC and syndicated throughout other networks, is known for its progressive plot that illustrates a modern family. One family sets the scene for a more traditional household. Phil and Claire raise their 3 kids, Haley, Alex, and Luke, and attempt to control their every move as a normal family would. The second family sets the tone for a more untraditional family plotline, a gay family. Mitchell and Cameron start the series by adopting Vietnamese baby, Lily, and throughout the series their family grows with funny plot lines to go with it. The last family is also untraditional. Jay and Gloria, who are about 30 years apart, start out by raising Manny, Gloria's biological son who she raised on her own well before meeting Jay, and as the series progresses, they end up having a son together, Joe. All 3 families are related in the sense that Jay is the father of Claire and Mitchell, so the 3 families are never really separate at all. Now, the entire show represents many intersections between race, class, gender, and sexuality, and some even say that it is the reason it became wildly successful. But for the purpose of this presentation, we'll only focus on 2 couples, Jay and Gloria representing intersections of class and race, while Mitch and Cam represent sexuality and gender. Each of them present a stereotype that is not uncommon in the media, but what makes each one different from the stereotype is that they embrace it and then defy it. The writers of the show would like you to think that at first it is presenting the familiar and sometimes very serious modern relationships that are common in today's world. However, they want you to look past what is shown on the surface and see it in sometimes a not so common way and offer it with a dash of hilarity. So let's start off by exploring Jay and Gloria. Like I mentioned briefly, Jay, a very wealthy father of 2, starts off the series by marrying a sexy Colombian woman as his second wife that is half his age, and is also the same age as his oldest child, Claire. Gloria, a mother of 2, is a woman who is obviously from a different background than her second husband and is constantly struggling to find her place within the family. So we will begin by exploring Jay individually. His relationship with Gloria and his character as a whole shows obvious intersections of class, because he is a wealthy white man in a higher class than his second wife, who is Latina, and who also doesn't often fit into his world. One way we can tell he is in a higher class is by his taste in materialistic things and his taste in women, i.e. Gloria. According to Renee M. Zagori, taste provides the signs or markers with which people try to distinguish themselves as belonging or aspiring to a particular class. By Jay's taste in cars, his membership to a country club, his house, even his nice things he buys his wife, you can tell he's situated in a higher class. Jay's position in a higher class also puts Gloria automatically in that higher class, which one would think would automatically make her taste change. Renee M. Sigori says that one woman can tell a woman is of a higher class by the regulated body of the good, authentic girl. She is neat and tidy, and she does not wear tasteless clothes. However, Gloria's taste did not change just because she married Jay in a higher class. This is where intersections of race comes into play. Gloria's stereotype. Gloria represents the stereotypical Latina who is only interested in a white male's attention, or in other words, the harlot who is lusty and hot-tempered. She is dressed in tight, sexy clothes for every occasion, is always getting mad at Jay for something or another, and loses her temper very quickly. Her character represents the stereotypical Latina woman who is basically a sex machine innately lusting for a white male. Jay and Gloria, class versus race. Although both Jay and Gloria portray common stereotypes, their characters are much more than those dynamics, which is how they have defied them. Jay was not always wealthy and had to work very hard to build up his business. He did not always have a fancy car and house and belonged to a country club. That is why meeting Gloria brought him back to when he had nothing. Gloria, although a sexy, loud Colombian woman who's constantly short-tempered and angry with Americans, has the biggest heart in the show. She loves each and every part of her mixed family and wants them to equally love her too. Jay and Gloria together represent much more than class and gender, but how a family can have different stereotypes and dynamics and be much more than those labels. Which is why this media plays a key role in defining our cultural tastes, helping us locate ourselves in history, establishing our national identity, asserting the range of national and social possibilities. Our next storyline on the show is Mitchell Pritchett and Cameron Tucker, the gay couple on the show. From the beginning, you see the relationship between the two, and think is a typical gay relationship. One is more feminine than the other, and one is more reserved about his sexuality than the other. But again, once you get to know them, their relationship is much more complex than, again, the stereotype that they represent on the surface. Mitch's character represents one aspect of sexuality in the sense that he has had a tough relationship with his father, Jay, about his sexuality. On the show, his character is a lawyer, and at first glance seems to suppress his sexuality. He is often mad at his partner, Cam, for being more open about his sexuality and seems to be jealous of him at times. In short, he represents the gay man who appears to be straight and is not overly expressive about his sexuality. In Clark's article, he writes about Mitch's character, "Both my partner and I are totally straight acting, very masculine. When we're in mixed company with someone who's, let's just say they open their mouth and their purse falls out, we get rather uncomfortable." Now, Cam represents a much more complex description of gender over sexuality. His character was raised on a farm in a very masculine family, and he played D1 college football. Nothing about him on paper screams that he is more feminine of the two, but when you speak to him, he is the one where his purse falls out of his mouth. He is the homemaker of the two in the relationship, and he often gets offended when he is thought of as the mother. He seems to be more open about his sexuality, but still gets touchy when he is labeled so quickly as the feminine partner. Cam represents the aspect of gender where he feels obligated to assert his masculinity despite his obvious femininity. Cam is often seen as the clever, campy, and culturally sophisticated gay man, whereas he wants to be seen as traditionally heroic and unapologetically masculine. His struggle is more so with his gender than his sexuality, because he gets offended not only because his sexual preference, but because of how he is seen as a man. Mitch and Cam, sexuality versus gender. Although Mitch and Cam both represent different aspects of a stereotypical gay man struggling with his sexuality and gender, their characters often defy those labels. Despite Mitchell's struggle with his sexuality and his father's approval, he is not afraid to show Cam how much he loves him and is committed to their relationship. On the flip side, although Cam struggles with his femininity, he does not deny the fact that he would rather stay at home and raise their daughter than be a working parent. Their dynamic not only embraces his stereotypical roles, but shows that there is nothing wrong with them. Their storyline also represents that it's impossible to overstate the value of giving LGBT viewers a chance to see people like themselves in the mass media, and providing non-LGBT viewers with a reminder that, as a bumper sticker says, they are everywhere. Whether Modern Family is offering up a dose of stereotypical class versus race dynamics or sexuality versus gender issues, each couple teaches you much more than what is seen on the surface. Jay and Gloria, although they come from different classes and are classified as different races, they could not be a happier couple. They use their differences and intersections of class and race as a way to teach the viewers that you can be a stereotype and defy it at the same time. Mitch and Cam teach viewers that it is okay to struggle with your sexuality and gender because that is a part of life. Each couple uses their stereotype to show that it is okay to have to be that stereotype, because you can always be much more than that. Thank you for watching.